Well, hey folks, Fat Guy Flies RC. Well, second flight. Gonna take up the F4 90mm Phantom 6S powered. Left in that little bit of right aileron trim about 3 clicks up, and I lessened my up elevator mix for flaps and takeoff just by a few clicks, because I did notice that she was wanting to rise too much on me when I put the flaps in, so I lessened that. And but with this wind today, probably won't have to use flaps anyway, so I probably won't be able to test that. But anyways, we're going to take her up for the second flight and have some fun. Now I've got a 6,000 RC Hackers right up against where the battery hatch comes in. Where when I say the battery hatch, I'm talking about that dam there, that big foam structure that comes down. When I put that in, I have to kind of massage that down, because it's rubbing right on that battery. That's where you want that battery to be. So, all right, let's take this beast up in the air.
Motor on, be careful.
All right. Is that pretty good right there? Where you need me? Back more?
Yeah, because there's perfect. Thank you.
All right. My rates I'm going to fly in today are 90%. This is the mid rates, 90 over 30, all the way around. I think it's the same for elevator, yeah, and the same 100% on rudder. So 90. Turn in a little less than that. All right. A little windy, but second flight, KM model afterburner, antenna mod, and clear coats. The only thing I've done to this plane. Other than that, she's all stock. Not gonna be doing anything crazy, not gonna be going inverted or anything. Second time ever flying her, so I'm just
starting the fun over.
Just gonna fly her, just check out the trim. Like I say, this is the second time she's ever been in the air. Right, left, up, down, right, left. All right, here we go. Oh, is it windy?
The gear is up. Time remaining 3 minutes. Retracts deployed.
Oh.
Time remaining 2 minutes. Take off flaps. Flaps are up. Landing flaps. Braking. mode.
Whew!
Takeoff flaps are up.
Oh man. All right. See my shirt? Honey, if you would, pan towards the flags there on your side, so they can give them an idea of the flags. Look at what I'm flying with right now. All right, we'll come back to the plane now. All right, I'm not taking her up again. It's just too windy. Even too windy for me. And to where I just don't feel safe.
Braking. Cruise mode.
But little voice in my head saying, no more. Cut it out. So we're gonna stop right there. Maybe let this wind die a little bit more, a little more further in the evening. We might be able to do a little more of another flight, but for right now, I want to listen to my instincts. Cut it out right now. So, but you know, it's better to cut yourself short of flying than say, the heck with it, swallow your pride and go ahead and run with it and come back with a big box of foam. So there you go. We flew second flight, still got a minute and 10 seconds left, so I'm going to say that battery's probably going to be around the 50% mark. But a successful second flight, even though it was very nerve-wracking, and having it right up against, having that 6,000 right up against there is perfect. All right. I don't like about this RC Hackers battery is that the balance lead is so short. So I have a hard time. I'm going to have to take the battery out in order to check. But see that line right there? That's where you want to put your 5,000, your 6,000, your 80,000, whatever you got it going in here. That's where you want to put it. Okay. Woo! Windy. But right there is where you want it. Oh. And that is an RC. Look at the plane moving. That is an RC Hackers with a 100C. Just one of them. I don't have that many 6S's, and I wanted a 6S but I can just imagine how much fun this plane would be. 58% left. So I can just imagine how much fun this plane would be if I didn't have this horrible wind. And I'm looking at my flags and they're blowing this way now. So it's now 90 degrees across the runway. I definitely ain't taking her up now. So let me call that flight. Even though it was a very short flight, still a successful second flight. And when your instincts say, that little voice in your head, listen to it, okay? There's so many times in my RC experience that I have not listened to that little voice because I want to keep flying because I'm enjoying myself, and come home with a RC plane broken heart because I now have a big bag of foam because I just destroyed a plane because I was wanting to fly, even though the conditions were now too beyond my skill. And this is getting beyond my skill. Not consistently, but enough to where a brand new plane. Now, this is a plane I flew all the time, and I've got maybe 30 or 40 flights on it. I might continue, but this is only the second flight on this plane. So, all right, folks, well, there you go. When she sits down on her butt like that, you gotta be careful. Now I think I have put that down. I think I've bound my. Well, you know what? Let's do something real quick. Let's take advantage of this and let me show you the modifications. Honey, if you'll just follow me over, we'll edit out us walking around. But let me show you my modifications to the tail. One thing you do, and this, like I said, this is ugly, but it worked. Oh, and by the way, I kept telling everybody that I had epoxied in the servo. No, I didn't epoxy in. I hot glued it in with Gorilla brand hot glue. I kept thinking I epoxied it. No, I hot glued it in. But a bunch of it. And you can use debonder to undo epoxy. And the equivalent for hot glue is alcohol. Put rubbing alcohol, and that does the same thing as debonder does to regular hot glue. It'll take that, it'll undo that hot glue. Okay, now if you can go ahead and glue on your tail hook, okay, but don't glue this part and this part to the back of the plane, okay? That way you can just lift this right off and service your transmission. Now if you'll come over here, okay? Now, I've taken a steel rod, wrapped it around the existing control rod, okay, so to prevent flexing. If you look right over here, you'll see a little metal washer. That metal washer makes so that this ball link the linkage can't slide up over the ball link, so that won't fail. And of course, like I said, I've hot glued in the elevator servo so that it won't go anywhere. Okay, so that's my modification. I got a 3-part washer, steel rod to keep from flexing. Also, the zip tie goes around this connector here to where this won't come apart here, and I have secured in that big 30-gram metal geared servo so that it won't come out. And like I say, don't only glue in your tail hook for this part only, because that way. And then I put a piece of tape on there because that just holds it in place. Well, anyways, there you go, folks. That is the second flight, and then the mod close-up of how I'm securing my. And I will be honest with you, when I first put it together and before I did the radio setup video, there was a lot. There's still that much slop in it, but there was a whole lot more before. So they need to come. If they do a version 2 of this, or version 9, or version 80, or whatever they do, they need to, number one, make this more serviceable. Make this the tail hook part of the cover, and put a nice big solid wooden plate that servo sits into, or like a nice big mount, like a 3D mount or something, and better quality linkages, you know, because you got one servo driving your elevator, and there's 2 control surfaces that are 2 controls I never want to lose: throttle and elevator. You lose throttle and elevator, you now have a boat anchor. So, well, folks, there you go. That is the 90mm F4 Phantom, second flight in the books. Great flying plane. Just, well, I say it's a great flying plane. I really don't know yet, because I have yet to be able to fly her. I need to come out here on a day where it's only 5 or 6 miles an hour and really enjoy her. Actually see how the flaps are working, because I darn didn't want to use flaps today with this wind. So, all right, folks, well, thank you for watching. God is good. This is Fat Guy Flies RC saying God bless each and every one of you, the best viewers on the planet. Thank you so much. Merry Christmas, and don't forget, faith, family, and friends, and F4 Phantoms. Bye-bye. Hey, folks. All right, third flight here at the Avon Park Aeromodelers Club. Third flight ever on the 90mm F4 Phantom, the 6S version. I didn't want the 8S version. 6S is plenty for me. And let's take her up. Got a 5300 SMC high voltage pack all the way forward. Take her up for the third flight. I might actually be able to test my flaps out this time. I'm going to stay out here, though, till I get really comfortable with the plane. I want to stay out here where I'm got a better perspective. Going to fly my high rates, which are 100%, 30% expo, everything. My mid are 80, and my low, my mid are 90, my lower are 80. So pretty simple. Don't forget, you got to put in 8mm down of up elevator neutral trim when you set yours up. KM model afterburner, clear coat, and my antenna mod is all I've done with this plane. All right. Right, left, up, down, right, left. Okay.
Starting the fun over.
Time to put up or shut up. Here we go.
is up.
Still wanting to climb on me. Not too bad though. Definitely manageable. All right, that's my first time rolling her. We're a little bit lower here.
Retracts deployed. Takeoff flap. Landing flaps. Time remaining 2 minutes. Braking. Cruise mode.
Hey, she's on the runway! Not the best landing, but she's in one piece.
Flaps are up.
All right, here we go again. Not going to use takeoff flaps. I'm going into a bit of a headwind here.
The gear is up. Time remaining 1 minute.
A show pass here.
Retracts deployed. Landing flaps. Flaps are up.
Make sure my gear is down. And it is.
30 seconds. Takeoff flaps. Flaps are up. 20 seconds. Braking. Cruise mode.
Did not use flaps at all. Didn't need them.
10.
Got enough, going into enough of a headwind and didn't need flaps. Now if it was dead calm, then yeah, I would have used flaps, but got just enough headwind to slow her down. And there again, you land this plane just like you do the Zeus, just like you land your E-flite Viper.
Must land the Phantom now.
You bring her in level, and right before you touch, just the slightest little bit of flare on that nose. But that does mean she's going to come in kind of hot, so you're trying to find that perfect balance. Too much of a high alpha and you're going to induce a stall, okay? Too much nose and you're going to crash, so you got to just find that right combination with each plane. A Death Dorito, a Delta Wing, I'll bring her in like that and set her down. This kind of a plane with a more traditional wing, just a slight bit of flare, let her set down. Just the slightest bit of flare. And like I said, I have discovered now, I've had several, well, by the way, we were 4 seconds over.
Prop is secured. Safe to approach.
There is a mistake, a defect in the mold, as I have found out through the forums. The reason you have to have so much right aileron is not really anything to do with the torque of the motor, is that there's a defect in one of these wings as far as how the mold is, and it makes it automatically want to pull to the left because of the way the shape of the wing, which if you change it aerodynamics, well then you're going to change the characteristics of how she flies. So if you look closely, you can see on my right aileron and left aileron, I'm down about 3 clicks on left and 3 clicks up on right. So, and that's the only way she'll fly straight. If I take that out, she's going to want to roll to the, she's going to roll over to the left every time. So that's why I'm proving my point. There's a difference between bench trim and flight trim. Always have your plane, when you're done setting them up on the bench at the house, nice and level. Everything nice and level with everything. Everything's linear. That's called bench trim. Okay? Doesn't mean she's going to fly trim. That means it's bent. That gives you the starting point. And then when you get her up, unless the manufacturer says specifically to have, like for this one, it says you've got to have 8 millimeters down on the front of the elevator here to give you a little bit of up elevator. Manufacturer says they discovered that in their testing, so you do that. So that's your neutral. Okay, let's get our battery report. But on the third flight, I felt confident enough with her to do a couple of rolls. Next time I fly her, I will try some inverted. And when I fly inverted, then I'll really know if my elevator's right. Okay? The truest test of whether your elevator and the plane is really trim is when you fly her inverted. But that's something you have to be careful with that. I've lost 2 planes trying that too early with a plane I didn't know. Lost a Vulcan, for one, I know, out here because I tried inverted flying the first time ever flying. It went right in the ground. Well, I panicked too. That's part of it. Antenna mod, just took a zip tie, lopped it off, pulled it through there, and that way I can grab a hold of this instead of trying to dig at the hatch with my fingernails. Okay, I'll show you the battery placement in just a minute. Got the 5300, actually, yeah, thank you. 5300 SMC pack at 28%, so that's perfect. And if you look at the battery tray, this is a 5300. I'm going to put a 6,000 here. I'm going to put a 5,000 here. I'm going to put a 45,000 there. Whatever I have in here, I'm putting it right there, and it should rub right there. And when you put that down, you should feel that resistance, and it rubs right in there and locks that in, and that's where you want your CG. Okay, not all jets have to have an aft CG like a Delta. Some of them like a little bit more of a nose heavy. And in wind, you actually do want it to be slightly nose heavy. In wind, you have more punch. Well, there you go, folks. That is the F4 90mm Phantom by FREEWING. The, I guess it's the Korean camo. I forget which one it's called. I'm going to get that hatch back down. But that is just an absolutely... I changed my battery. Just I need it'll fit flush. Just a beautiful plane, absolutely gorgeous flying plane. It's going to take me probably 4th to 5th flights to really get her sorted out to where I can just really start to enjoy flying her. But that's what you do, especially with a twitchy plane that's got some peculiarities, and this one definitely has some peculiarities, but that's part of the fun of flying, is learning the plane, learning the characteristics, you know. And then when you come out here one day and you've got her locked in, and man, you just have fun. And today was fun. It's getting more and more fun. All right, watch my second flight video. I opened up the tail and I showed you my mods and how to secure the elevator and all them peculiars on that. You do need to do that, because if you don't, that linkage for the elevator will flex. Also, that's not the best linkage in there for the world for the elevator, so you got to make sure that's anchored down, and make sure that servo's anchored down. They don't put enough glue in there, and people's servos are coming out and losing their elevator and coming home with a big bag of foam. So, all right, folks, y'all have a good, and God is good, and don't forget, faith, family, and friends, and then F4 Phantoms. Bye-bye.